Welcome to a tactical breakdown of the Battle of Shiloh, a defining conflict remembered as the bloody crucible of the Western theater. Unfolding over two pivotal days from April 6 to 7, 1862, this monumental clash shattered the nation's illusion of a swift, short war. Situated at Pittsburg Landing in Hardin County, Tennessee, the map highlights the critical terrain along the Tennessee River where the fighting commenced. Engaging an immense scale of approximately 111,000 combatants, this overview sets the stage for an in-depth analysis of the movements, strategies, and devastating human cost of a confrontation that forever altered the course of the American Civil War. We now examine the strategic chess match of early 1862, titled, Piercing the Confederate Heartland. In February, Union forces struck a devastating blow, capturing Forts Henry and Donelson along with 13,000 Confederate troops. By late February, the Southern defensive line collapsed, Nashville fell, and Columbus was abandoned. Reacting swiftly in March, Confederates feverishly concentrated their forces at Corinth, Mississippi, a vital junction of the Mobile and Ohio and Memphis and Charleston railroads. This map illustrates the rising tension. General Albert Sidney Johnston recognizes a fleeting window of opportunity. He must launch a preemptive strike on Grant's encamped army at Pittsburg Landing before Buell's 30,000-man Army of the Ohio can reinforce them. As the armies converge, we look at the contrasting forces poised for battle. The Union coalition combines Major General Ulysses S. Grant's Army of the Tennessee and Major General Don Carlos Buell's Army of the Ohio. Together, they field roughly 66,812 well-supplied, confident troops, supported by 119 cannon and naval gunboats, though they sit carelessly encamped with unfortified front lines. Facing them is the Confederate Army of Mississippi, led by Generals Albert Sidney Johnston and P.G.T. Beauregard. Their 44,699 troops suffer from critical weapon shortages, relying heavily on antiquated smoothbores and flintlocks. Though exhausted by a disorganized, muddy 20-mile march, they remain highly motivated to launch a crucial surprise attack. Welcome to the tactical canvas of Pittsburg Landing, where geography shaped destiny. The Union's position is defined by strong natural boundaries, Snake and Owl Creeks to the north and west, Lick Creek to the south, and the broad Tennessee River guarding the east. While flooded bottomlands naturally protect the Union flanks, the camp's interior layout reveals a dangerous vulnerability. The forward camps house the most inexperienced Union divisions, commanded by Sherman and Prentiss, positioned furthest out near a small log meetinghouse called Shiloh Church. Crucially, the critical flaw of this entire deployment is exposed. These camps were laid out for comfort and drill space rather than defense, leaving the army entirely without entrenchments or abatis. We now analyze a formula for command chaos, highlighting the fatal disconnect in Confederate planning. General Johnston's strategic intent was clear. Turn the Union left flank, cut them off from the Tennessee River and their supportive gunboats, and drive them west into the flooded swamps of Owl Creek. However, General Beauregard's actual deployment completely undermined this plan. He stacked four separate corps, led by Hardee, Bragg, Polk, and Breckinridge, in successive horizontal lines stretching evenly across a 3-mile front. The inevitable result was disaster. As dense woods and rugged ravines disrupted the advance, these stacked lines violently collided and intermingled, instantly shattering all chain of command integrity before the battle even truly began. The silence is broken on April 6, marked by the element of surprise. At midnight, a suspicious Union colonel, Everett Peabody, independently dispatches a 250-man patrol toward Fraley Field without orders. By 5:14 a.m., this lone patrol collides with the 3rd Mississippi Battalion, and the first historic shots of Shiloh ring out. The situation escalates rapidly. At 6:30 a.m., Hardee's massive front line surges forward through the dense brush. Union General Sherman initially dismisses the reports, but riding forward to investigate at 7:30 a.m., he is shot in the hand, suddenly realizing the entire Confederate army is upon them. Fueled by General Johnston's fierce resolve, the onslaught begins in earnest. We witness the shattering of command, as the initial alignment flaws bear bitter fruit. By mid-morning, the chaos of the dense woods completely destroys the structure of the advancing forces. Hardee's, Bragg's, and Polk's corps intermingle wildly, resulting in a total breakdown where corps integrity is entirely lost. To salvage the assault, an ad hoc solution is implemented on the fly. The battlefield is sliced into distinct geographic zones. Hardee takes command of the left, Polk assumes control of the center, and Bragg takes the right. While this desperate improvisation keeps men fighting, it guarantees coordinated, piecemeal frontal assaults rather than the synchronized, sweeping maneuvers Johnston initially envisioned to crush the Union line. We turn to the Union right near Shiloh Church between 9:30 and 10:30, charting Sherman's stand in the Valley of Death. Utilizing a vital terrain advantage, Sherman anchors his fragmented, raw troops behind the rough ravine of the Shiloh branch. This positioning sparks a fierce repulse, successfully holding off rolling frontal assaults from 4 different Confederate brigades over 2 brutal hours. The thickets become a slaughterhouse, notably during the bloody charges of the 6th Mississippi, which loses 300 of its 425 men against the defending Ohioans. Bleeding the enemy for every yard, Sherman ultimately executes a brilliant, slow-fighting withdrawal toward the Hamburg-Purdy crossroads. We now enter the legendary focal point of the battle, the Hornet's Nest. Here, Union Generals Prentiss and W.H.L. Wallace anchor a stubborn defense along a heavily eroded wagon track known as the Sunken Road. Armed with modern rifled muskets, they shred repeated Confederate frontal attacks across the open terrain of Duncan Field. Realizing infantry alone cannot shatter this line, Confederate General Ruggles unleashes an artillery solution, massing 62 cannons, the largest concentration of artillery yet seen in North America, to blast the position at point-blank range. This devastating bombardment forces the final collapse. Surrounded and out of time, Wallace is mortally wounded attempting a breakout, and Prentiss surrenders 2,200 remaining men at 5:30 p.m. in a ravine dubbed Hell's Hollow. At 2:30 p.m., a seismic shift occurs on the Union left, the death of Albert Sidney Johnston. Frustrated by the stubborn Union defense at the Peach Orchard, General Johnston personally leads a fierce charge to break the enemy lines. During the action, a stray Minié ball severs an artery behind his right knee. Unaware of the wound's severity, Johnston continues to direct the battle until he tragically bleeds to death in his saddle. With his passing, Johnston becomes the highest-ranking American officer ever killed in combat. General Beauregard assumes command, but the sudden transition causes a critical, fatal pause in the Confederate attack momentum, stalling their push at a pivotal moment. As twilight falls, we witness the climax of the first day's fighting. Dusk, Grant's final line. Pushed back to the very brink of the Tennessee River, Grant's fragmented army rallies to form a tight, impregnable defensive arc. This ultimate position becomes an iron wall. Colonel Joseph D. Webster hastily patches together a massive 50-gun artillery battery on a ridge overlooking Dill Branch, while the heavy guns of the USS Tyler and Lexington fire mercilessly into the Confederate flanks. Exhausted and falsely assuming that Union reinforcements are miles away, General Beauregard orders a fateful halt to the attack for the night, leaving the ultimate fate of Shiloh hanging in the balance. Night falls on the bloodied landscape, framing a stark contrast titled, "The Tide Turns in the Dark." Blinded by hubris, exhausted Confederate troops huddle in captured Union tents, looting food as General Beauregard prematurely wires Richmond claiming a complete victory. But beneath a torrential rain, lit by the relentless boom of naval gunboats, Union resolve hardens. Grant adamantly rejects any notion of retreat, declaring his intent to strike at daylight. His confidence is backed by massive reinforcements arriving through the night. Major General Lew Wallace's lost division of 5,800 men finally makes contact, while Buell's Army of the Ohio ferries 17,000 fresh, seasoned soldiers across the river, setting the stage for a dramatic counteroffensive. The dawn brings a dramatic reversal in our final chapter. April 7, the Union counter-tsunami. Seizing the initiative at first light, Generals Grant and Buell unleash a massive, coordinated offensive along the entire front, unleashing over 40,000 fresh or rallied troops upon the enemy. The harsh Confederate reality suddenly hits home. Heavily outnumbered and fighting with depleted ammunition, the exhausted Southern forces are pushed into a desperate, futile holding action around Water Oaks Pond. Recognizing his disintegrating army is, like a lump of sugar thoroughly soaked with water, General Beauregard accepts that victory is impossible. By 5 p.m., he orders a full retreat back to Corinth, bringing this bloody crucible to a close. We reach the final, devastating accounting of the conflict, the butcher's bill. The sheer human cost of these 2 days is staggering, leaving 13,047 Union casualties and 10,699 Confederate casualties scattered through the Tennessee woods. The grim reality of Shiloh shocked a divided nation to its core. More American casualties were suffered during this single, bloody confrontation than in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, and the Mexican-American War combined. As the smoke clears, the harrowing words of soldier Edgar Pierce echo through history, recalling an intolerable stench and a landscape so torn to pieces that the romance of war was forever stripped away, leaving only raw, unprecedented tragedy. We close our journey by confronting the bitter legacy of Shiloh. In the wake of this unprecedented bloodshed, public outrage initially targets General Grant for being caught completely off guard, sparking aggressive demands for his removal. Yet, President Abraham Lincoln rejects the pressure with profound clarity, stating simply, "I can't spare this man, he fights." Shiloh fundamentally transformed the conflict. For the Union, it smashed any naive lingering illusions of a bloodless, easy victory, revealing the terrifying length of the road ahead. For the Confederacy, the loss of Johnston and the subsequent retreat marked a permanent strategic failure, dealing a devastating blow to their hopes of securing the vital Western theater and changing the Civil War forever.